For activity 3, we're going to take a look at human rights and whose responsibility is to ensure that people have access to human rights. And let's start off with what we feel human rights actually are. So that starts off by asking that question to you: what do you feel your rights are as a youth within your school community, within your home? So everything from access to clean drinking water, clean air, what do you feel your rights are? And this always proves to be an interesting class discussion in a regular classroom, in that we compare the situations of the living environments of different youth all around the world. So we investigate everything from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to the United Nations development of Millennium Development Goals. The United Nations developed a set of Millennium Development Goals to basically try to eradicate hunger and poverty, and to assure equity and equality for women and children. So be sure to review those. Also take a look at the timelines if you have a chance, and when they were developed, where are they at now, and how close have they come to basically achieving their goals. So again, we're going to cut down a bit of the workload for this assignment. We're going to skip over those discussions. Be sure to read through these case studies, as these will all contribute to your final assignment for this activity. So again, you can go through these very interesting case studies that all lend to human rights issues around the world. And we're going to skip right down to this consolidation activity at the very, very end. Where does the responsibility for human rights lie? So consider the role and location the role of location and protection of all human rights. What is the imperative for MEDCs to aid lesser developing countries in the question of human rights violations? I want you to take a good look at this question as we're going to do a quick little review on it right now, so that you fully answer this question. All I've done here is just copied and pasted the question into a Word file, just so we can take a better look at it. So consider the role and location in the protection of all human rights. There's three little parts to this question. You have to make sure that you address all of this when you're answering it in your response. Is there a moral imperative for MEDCs to aid these questions in the question of human rights violations? Is there a status or privilege that exempts us from the promotion and protection of human rights for all? And the last part: who is responsible for the human rights of women and children, especially when their country does not? Your answer should be no more than 1,000 words. It can certainly be less than that. Be sure, think about what you want to say in advance, and select the data that you're going to support your conclusion. And make sure you cite your sources. Now, as far as the data and case studies that you will use for this question, this is where I'm actually seeing or looking for evidence from our case studies in the content section of this activity. So as you're answering those questions, fully answering those questions, thoroughly answering those questions, you're using evidence, stats, and facts directly from the case studies that you just read to answer that question. That's what I'm looking for. And when you complete your written response, make sure that you always, for every question that you do in this course, you always cite your sources. Okay? So make sure again to break down this question thoroughly, so you're answering every aspect of it, and then make sure you're using evidence from the case studies to support your opinions and your argument. Okay? If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact me.